Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a great weekend so far, depending on the time you're watching this. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is DirectX 12. Now, DirectX 12 was just recently announced, but they will be releasing more information later on. Now, out of everything that we know about it so far, it's very similar to AMD's Mantle, which is another API, because it will be having less overhead, less restrictions, and allowing game developers to work more closely with the hardware and to be able to ultimately achieve more performance out of the same hardware, which is really great overall. Now, this might be a problem for Mantle, but as long as this keeps the developers happy, has less overhead, less restrictions, no hidden stuff, no glitches or problems, or anything that makes it hard to be able to use, then that's all that really matters. Now, the other thing that they also mentioned is that this will be seen on consoles. Now, as of the time of recording this video, the only console out there that has DirectX is the Xbox One. And the thing to consider is that both DirectX and the Xbox One are owned by Microsoft. So there's a very high chance that Microsoft actually put in the hardware and everything into the Xbox One that it would need in order to support DirectX 12 later on. So because of that, the Xbox One will be getting a huge benefit in performance, and I could definitely tell you that it's going to really help, especially in the long run. And if you include the fact that they're going to be overclocking the GPU, and that beforehand there was 10% of the GPU reserved just for the Kinect, and since they lowered that to 2%, so they freed up 8% of the GPU for developers to use. With all these things included, I could easily tell you with all these things combined, there's definitely going to be much more performance than they would need in order to be able to run games at 1080p with no problems. So 1080p games are not going to be a problem in the future, but we may not really see any real results until later this year or next year, because likely the game would have to have been designed from the ground up using DirectX at the very beginning. So games that are already in the works right now may not be able to quite benefit unless they're willing to go back and put in a lot more time and effort or money, or start from the ground up. So this is still really great to see on the Xbox One overall. So for those of you that haven't liked the fact that some games are not 1080p, this is something that will be really helping later on. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Watch Dogs. Now, Watch Dogs, I know a lot of people were really upset when they rescheduled the release date, but the official release date has been released, which is May 27th, which is actually not a bad date, because that's around the time when a lot of people are going to be starting their summer, whether it's a few days after, before, or maybe on that very day. So this game is definitely probably going to be that one game that a lot of people are going to be really playing early in the summer, so a lot of people are going to be really happy overall. And as long as they don't change the release date again, then I'm perfectly happy. Now, for the Wii U, they haven't really said the official release date for it, but they did say it will be released on the Wii U later on. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Titanfall. Now, Titanfall is a game that's probably going to be out by the time you watch this, but it's a game that a lot of people are really anxious and excited for overall, and people have extremely high hopes for it. But there's a couple of things people are afraid of because of the simple fact that it's going to be published from EA. Now, people are worried about microtransactions, day one DLC, and tons of other stuff, but I can tell you that they have came out and said that Titanfall will not have microtransactions. And even though people don't want day one DLC, it is going to have DLC, but it will not be day one DLC, so you don't have to worry about DLC being reserved on the side just for them to sell to you separately later on. Now, the other great thing is that they will actually be giving you some free DLC, and the Season Pass is only going to cost $24.99, because after all, this is a multiplayer-centered games, which a lot of games that usually have $50 Season Passes usually include something within the story mode and multiplayer side of things. So this is definitely reasonable, and if you want to buy the DLC separately, it's going to be around $9.99 each, and it's not really that bad of a deal overall. So even though things didn't turn out quite as people expected, at least there's not going to be microtransactions. At least the Season Pass is going to be $24.99 instead of $50 or even $60, and there's not going to be microtransactions, which is a really great thing overall. So I really hope you guys are really happy overall. It looks like things are really getting great, and sorry for recording this video a little bit late. I guess you could say it was a really crazy week overall, and I'm just really happy to be back to doing videos regularly again. So thank you guys overall again for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.